for London, each half point matters.
Exactly, Tanya, exactly. And Carlsen, if he wins here, is going to take 13 points, the 12 points plus 1 bonus for winning outright without the need of a tie break.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine Magnus not making it to the
He's
finals in London. But we saw last year how every half point was important. I mean, Wesley saw being caught up by Fabiano Caruana just at the last minute because of Fabiano's excellent performance at the Singfield Cup, while Wesley just dismal event.
Completely tanked.
And you're actually mentioning half points because if two players tie, not for first place, but tie like 5th and 6th place, they will share also the GCT points, not just the prize fund, but also, I mean, their prizes, but also the points. So it could be they have like both 5.5. So half a point can be taken from this tournament as well.
And we have
the game has started
with strange English with the inclusion of an H4, H6. Probably will get some kind of symmetrical pawn structure if Magnus decides to take on D5.
We've seen Magnus do this before where he's won an event around despair, but even in the last round, he's played to crush his opponents. So I know that he knows that all he needs is a draw to make it, but I don't think he's going to play safe here.
Well,
playing pretty safe.
For the moment, it's quite safe. It's not like it's a dry position, which is clearly going heading towards a draw. No, but I mean, he can exchange on D5 if he wants. He hasn't done it yet. He played Queen B3, but he could have taken. And now knight E7 from Wesley. So
it's a bit annoying. This pawn already being attacked on D4. Bishop E3 is the natural response, but knight F5 is such an annoying move.
That's unpleasant, especially since you have already played H4, G3. All this complex here may tend to be a bit loose.
Rook D1, knight F5 on the board.
D1. Exactly.
So now black's threatening to take on D4 with the knight, so white goes knight E2.
Just defends the
Could
isolated
have
pawn.
thought about D5 as well, but he played knight E2.
And I think the important part is not to let this bishop on C8 develop. If the bishop gets to C6, Wesley will be very happy about his position.
Magnus, for the moment, that's his main trump in this position because D4 is under an attack, and for all the rest here, all this position, all pieces here and pressure against D4. I mean, black is doing a good job on the king side and in the center, but it's true that the queen side.
Even though the 3 pieces are attacking the pawn on D4, it can't be captured because the pawn on H6 hangs in the end.
We already have a result. The Chinese players have drawn against each other. Ding Liren with the white pieces drawing Wei Yi.
That's Ding Liren with white again, yeah? That's his third.
I'm sorry, Ding Liren with the black pieces.
All right. But still, well, I think he's just very happy to end the event. And
in a positive note, because he is still far from the bottom 4. He is in the top half, still gets some good GCT points.
I'm sure he feels he's at the end.
Yeah.
He can't anymore. I mean, he's lost against Amin. He was shaking his head or taking his head in his head. And clearly he's looking forward to this event finishing now.
Yes.
And he wants to keep things under control. So if he could draw now all the games, he would sign immediately. And
it's not been an easy event for the Chinese players. But still, Ding Liren not doing so badly, somewhere in the middle, like you pointed out. And if he's able to maintain that, it's a reasonable amount of GCT points.
That's for sure. And Wesley so has done a good job, I think, playing this A5, A4, pushing the A pawn here. And now he's just played Queen B6. And it feels like he's
knight
kind
D4
of
is a threat now, because the F2 pawn hangs in the end. So knight D4 is something he needs to be careful about.
That's right, Tanya. He wants to take on D4. For instance, if I move like Rook AC1, he could take on D4. The knight is on E2 is hanging with check. If you take it, and now F2 is also hanging here.
And in fact, he's played Rook AC1. So what's going on here? Is it just...
Maybe the F2 pawn is just, well, it's hanging, but it's not the end of the world if he does. But Bishop D7 has been played by Wesley, so he did not take the knight, the pawn on D4 with the knight.
It might have been a little bit too much to take that pawn. The computers really hated it.
Yeah.
Said they need
What's the refutation?
I didn't see what was the refutation.
Okay, we're going to get back to it. Let's just keep with the current position right now.
Bishop E5, very sensible move. by Magnus.
And also sensible by Wesley, just developing his
FC.
pieces. We talked about the fact that the bishop gets out, Wesley's going to be in a fine position. I don't see why it would be any different in this one.
Yeah, he's doing well. That's clear. And perhaps a good idea for White would be to play d5 at some point. Perhaps here.
Simplify the position a bit.
I like that.
Although if he plays d5, I mean, we should take into account a move like e5, typically Grunfeldish, with the knight trying to come to the blockading square on d6. But that's actually a risky decision by Wesley. So if he plays after d5, e5, and okay, you're giving your opponent a free pass pawn.
He's gone for d5.
He's gone for d5, and now an important decision for the American.
How's he going to react?
And that's certainly a moment when you want to take a little bit of your time to figure out whether you should agree to simplifications, opening of the center, and a likely equality after that. Well, first he takes
This
the
is
rook
what I
on
was thinking.
c1.
After rook c1, what if Magnus takes rook c1? So he's just saying that I give up the d5 pawn for the c file, but otherwise is he planning to take with the knight? Because that doesn't seem like an... He's gone for rook c1, so he's playing for initiative.
What do you mean?
Oh, no, it's fine.
He did play e5
He's
instead
gone
of a
for E5.
He's
simplification.
gone for e5.
Yes.
Yeah, you had mentioned this play on Unique. It's a little bit more ambitious. Still, I think both sides
Yeah.
perfectly fine with their position.
Indeed, yeah. He has a little... Is it a little threat here to play bishop b5?
Queen c3, taking complete control of the c file, because now rook c8 is not possible as the e5 pawn hangs. And white is
He's played queen c3.
threatening
indeed.
queen c7. So
Well,
if you, let's say you defend the e pawn, you've got to play a move like
yeah.
rook to e8 perhaps, or...
I don't want to play
Rook
rook
e8.
e8, but perhaps that's what he has
I mean,
to
I
do.
don't see another move. You've got queen d6,
Queen
but I
d6
don't know
looks
how
much more
queen
normal.
d6 is
Yeah,
possible as
but
well.
that's
It's
the
on
Queen
the
d6, queen
board.
c7, I can just play rook c8. I
Yeah,
don't
but
see the problem.
d6 is the square I wanted to reserve for my knight, not for my queen.
It'll go there one day.
It will.
So now rook c8 is a threat.
Yeah.
So can
Not a
white
strong
play?
thread, just trade some pieces, but
Well, he can play queen c7, can't he?
queen c7, rook c8.
Take
Your
on.
knight gets to d6.
Can I take b7?
But I don't know, I can take on c1 and on g3.
on
I'm not
G3,
sure you want
yeah,
to do that.
That's right. Can do this, but your bishop is hanging at the end, right?
Yeah, no, I cannot do this.
No, this is this
Yeah,
doesn't
that's-
work with the d7 bishop.
Yeah, that was too much.
Anyway, this is a little far. He hasn't gone even queen c7 yet. It's his move. He's down a minute. It's a significant clock advantage for.
A3 is one of those
Wesley,
subtle
so-
moves that we see a lot at the top level. You see that the pawns on the queen side are now stuck on the light squares, and perhaps it doesn't mean much in the next few moves, but eventually, any bishop endgame, that might be very relevant.
Rook
Yeah,
c8 looks like an option here. He's gone for bishop b5 and queen
Queen
d2
D2.
defending the knight.
I am
Well-
worried that at some point this knight on d4,
Certainly happy to exchange here.
right, this knight on d4 looks quite nice.
Much nicer than the bishop on g2 currently.
Yeah, at some point this bishop might harass my pawn,
But
especially the one on
queen
a4,
c4?
but
He has to try and exchange queens here. Queen c4, queen c7 is what he should try to do. Yeah, he has to be careful. There are checks on e2 and stuff, but
still feels that black is just very slightly outplaying white in this position.
I like black definitely. But there are some issues, like if he manages to get rook and bishop against rook and knight, then this knight on d4 is going to be very nice, but not the most dangerous piece.
And we do have Maxime Vacher-Lagrave winning his game against Veselin Topalov. Veselin just collapsing on the last day. I don't think he scored more than half a point.
Does it mean that Nakamura is under slight pressure psychologically? I'm not
Right.
sure he's aware that Maxim has won already, but
Nakamura with strong chances against Jan Nepomniachtchi, so he's happy about his position, but of course both of them racking up those points, trying to fight for second place. Even if Magnus loses this one, we still don't think there's a real chance to catch him with so few rounds left to play.
I don't see him losing this position. I mean, it's if the queens get traded, it's
yeah, maybe he should play queen f6.
he's gone for it because he needs to keep the queens on the board.
And rook e1, and I mean it's getting tricky for. But rook e1, queen takes f2 is.
So
is
f2
an
hangs
issue.
right now. But he's
Well,
gone for it. He
yeah.
wants to trade the f2 for the e5. So queen f2, queen e5 check.
And yeah, queen takes f2 is perhaps not so good.
Oh, because of rook f1 and
Oh,
the
rook
f7
F1.
pawn falls.
And the rook on d8 is also hanging. You can't defend pretty much anything at this
Yeah,
point.
rook f1 is winning here, so he can't go for this. He's gone rook d6.
Rook d6 not. Yeah.
And king
then king
g1
g1 quickly played,
instantly.
just covering f2. Yeah, black gets the c file. Definitely chances for him, but I don't see how to coordinate my pieces to do that. He plays the move g5, perhaps
That's
creating
clever.
a second opening there, but these kind of things can backfire. You're also opening the h file not only for yourself, but sometimes for the white rook.
Queen c8 was also a good move, preventing g4.
And indeed, that queen itself plants itself on g4, taking strong control of the light squares. And this is what I was talking about. Queen g4, bishop e4, the natural moves here for white. King g2 and rook h1.
He's
but
gone
let's
for it. He's got a very clear plan now.
Yeah, still.
Opening this h file actually was probably not such a good idea because white.
He will always have rook
rook
h8,
h8,
and it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the
question
world,
is
but
of the
something
deep
to
one.
think about. And it's the problem for black, I think, is that controlling the h file for him doesn't do anything.
No, it's
Whereas
true. I mean, and white's idea. I mean, bishop e4, king g2 flows. It's natural. You can
Yes.
play
Rook
them
d8,
without
king
thinking.
g2. Yeah, just very easy to make quick moves with white. And Magnus, 1 minute, and
Yeah.
Wesley's got 31 seconds on the clock.
Exactly. I was going to mention that earlier. Carlsen down a minute and now up 30 seconds because like his last 10 moves were
Have been
like
so
just so
easy.
logical indeed.
And there you
for
go,
him at least.
d6. Now you have to
is the
contend
problem.
with a pawn on the d file, but also you've weakened g5 yourself.
And Alejandro, what you were saying, black can play queen h6, but the point is that he just has no threats on the h file.
Yeah, it's a very nice queen and really nice battery, but with the bishop on e4, there's no actual checkmate threats.
Knight e6. Yeah. Now thinking about this
Just queen
move to try
h2,
and
king
prepare.
f1.
Maybe bishop f5 or d5.
He has to be a bit worried the rook h2 might be an idea at some point.
Oh yeah.
Actually, was it an idea
Wasn't
last?
it? Wasn't it?
I think g5 hangs at the end.
h3. Yeah.
G5 hangs at the end, yeah. I wonder why he didn't play that though at last move.
Yeah, and now all of black's pieces are tied to the defense of the d pawn. So rook d7
Well, he wants to take pawn e5.
was queen h7.
There was also queen
Yeah,
e7.
yeah, yeah.
But queen. Yeah.
Queen h7, you have to go king f6. And then queen h6 was made.
Yep.
Still holding on here for Wesley, but to rook d5, he has
Can he
no
play king
time.
e7? He doesn't want to give up b5, but perhaps.
King e7 was probably bishop f5 and then knight d4. Huh?
You see that this
But
king
e7.
on f8, I mean, with the queen on h7, nothing concrete at the moment for Carlsen, but still on the cliff. I mean, this king on f8 with so little time.
Queen h5 makes sense. You want to put the queen in a better spot.
King e7.
g4. But now he's threatening to take on d7, so he takes on b5.
Yeah, I didn't like this knight d4 earlier by Wesley, so but no time to.
Yeah, but these endings should be better for white now.
It should be
because
a
of these
little better
a4
for
pawn.
white. Still, yeah,
So
definitely.
can you go knight d4, rook b6 check? He's
And
gone
he's
rook
go-
d4, rook f. Okay, rook b4.
He has to hurry. He has to hurry. Wesley, I mean, he's down
Wesley
to the
playing- okay,
5
three.
seconds.
Rook d2 is
Two.
okay.
Faster, boy. Logically, he wants to go to the center. He also has ideas to push his f pawn.
He needs to play faster. Playing.
Check on it.
Check on e4. Check on after
E4,
e4 seems to be okay. This rook had to go to c2 earlier. Just attacking this pawn on b2.
Magnus,
Whoops,
not
the rook on
b8,
a1 doesn't look
A4.
good. The rook on a1 doesn't look good.
Knight e4 check. A little desperate. Just 1 second left
he
when
can
play
take
that.
on f2
Knight takes
next.
f2 is a mess, but he has to.
He
has to
try
play
do
it. 1
And takes
second
on
again.
A4.
He's going to. And
Oh.
Oi. G4 or something.
G4 looks good.
Yeah, this looks better for white. F5 taking advantage of the fork on G3, and there we go. The players, they're making their moves like they had increment, but they don't. Okay, at
So
this
knight
point,
d4, hope to make a draw, but it's not yet a draw.
It's not yet a draw,
Oh,
but
that move is really good. Rook g1 check, forcing the king, and
And the king comes now.
It should be a draw, I think. I mean, with this white
Okay.
king
so cut from
on the
the
board,
action.
you can go back. Look.
Magnus
for
just doesn't want to draw.
Yeah.
Even though he's becoming champion, if he draws this game, it's just over.
Well, I
and
think
yet he plays on.
the risk to lose for him. Well, now that they are going to sign the peace.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
That's
well, and congratulations to the
it. We still have
We-
code